that it's wrong to talk real monstration. They say it ain't right, grammatically they can't find them words in no dictionary. Calling it bad language, despising we heritage. But don't care if they call we foolish. This is monstrat English. Give me the why you yet there.
That's the one me just says.
They come up and give me.
That's the monstrat from there.
Come on, sister, fetch me the porch. 1 p.m. and me belly is so. This is monstrat culture. We'll be proud of it forever.
This is monstrat culture. We'll be proud of it forever.
What's the use pretending when this language deep within? Me neighbor went New York City, come back trying to talk like Jackie, saying people talking too bad. This thing is driving me mad. But after 2 weeks back in the land, yeah, she cussing she man. Me say you nah come back in ya.
That's how what the girl says.
Go out to ya, you will on you.
Daddy has to pray you.
You give me something where you say can happen, and you know how me afraid injection. This is monstrat culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
This is monstrat culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
Tell me what is wrong with my fellow monstrations. They pick up everybody language and treating we own just like garbage. They will tell you about backyard and how for you face so hard, but they would die before they declare, I am me born, I am me real. Stop joke your hand at me, I man.
That is straight construction.
Are you look on me walk here?
That's the monstration way.
Happy show up, hear what happened. You never hear that from no Jamaican. This is monstrat culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
This is monstrat culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
English grammar you can't neglect, but hold on to it dialect. It's we ancestors give it to us, so accept the fact and stop making fuss. I am making a strong appeal, regardless what them big shots feel. Use this language more and more. Be proud of your own culture. Mommy, oh, whammy, I hear ya. You know that means surprise. Move from there to story, that mean you're telling lies. When me see you, Michigan, every lead drop, make river come down. This is monstrat culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
This is monstrat culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
They say it ain't right, grammatically they can't find them words in no dictionary. Calling it bad language, despising we heritage. But don't care if they call we foolish. This is monstrat English. Give me the why you yet there.
That's the one me just says.
They come up and give me.
That's the monstrat from there.
Come on, sister, fetch me the porch. 1 p.m. and me belly is so. This is monstrat culture, we'll be proud of of it forever.
This is monstrous culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
What's the use pretending when this language deep within? Me neighbor went New York City, come back trying to talk like Jackie, saying people talking too bad. This thing is driving me mad. But after 2 weeks back in the land, yeah, she cussing, she man. Me say you nah come back in ya.
That's what he can say.
Go out to ya, you will on you.
Daddy had to afraid you.
You give me sudden where you say can happen, and you know how me afraid injection. This is monstrous culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
This is monstrous culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
Tell me what is wrong with my fellow monstrations. They pick up everybody language and treating we own just like garbage. They will tell you about backyard and how for you face so hard, but they would die before they declare, I am me born, I am me real. Stop joke your hand at me, I man.
That is straight monstration.
Are you look and me walk here?
That's the monstration way.
Happy show up, yeah, what happened? You never hear that from no Jamaican. This is monstrous culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
This is monstrous culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
English grammar you can't neglect, but hold on to it dialect. It's we ancestors give it to us, so accept it back and stop making fuss. I am making a strong appeal, regardless what them big shots feel. Use this language more and more. Be proud of your own culture. Army, oh, whammy, I hear ya. You know that means surprise. Move from there to story 8. That mean you're telling lies. When me see you, Michigan, every lead drop, make river come down. This is monstrous culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
This is monstrous culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
They say it ain't right, grammatically they can't find them words in no dictionary. Calling it bad language, despising we heritage. But okay if they call me foolish, this is monstrous English. Emily, why you yet dead?
That's not what it says.
Hey, come up, give me.
That's the monstrous language.
Come on, sister, fetch me the porch. 1 p.m. and me belly up so. This is monstrous culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
This is monstrous culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
What's the use pretending when this language deep within? Me neighbor went New York City, come back trying to talk like Jackie, saying people talking too bad. This thing is driving me mad. But after 2 weeks back in the land, yeah, she cussing, she man. Me say you nah come back in ya.
That's what he can say.
Go out to ya, you where you say can't happen. And you know how me afraid injection. This is monster culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
This is monster culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
Tell me what is wrong with my fellow monsterations. They pick up everybody language and treating we own just like garbage. They will tell you about backyard and how for you face so hard, but they would die before they declare, I am me born, I am me rare. Stop joke you hand me eye man.
That is straight construction.
Are you look pan me walk ya?
That's the construction way.
Happy show up, hear what happen. You never hear that from no Jamaican. This is monstrat culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
This is monstrat culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
English grammar you can't neglect, but hold on to it dialect. Is we ancestors give it to us, so accept the fact and stop making fuss. I am making a strong appeal, regardless what them big shots feel. Use this language more and more. Be proud of your own culture. Mommy, oh, whammy, I hear ya. You know that means surprise. Move from day to story, that mean you're telling lies. When me see you, Michigan, every lit drop, make we back home down. This is monstrat culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
This is monstrat culture, we'll be proud of it forever.
I hear me born, I hear me stand. Keep away from sinking sand. Construction, we must understand. Don't let the right pass to your hand. You see them fellas, they're making sport. Tell me who are caused the priest to get the port. Trouble in the land, fire in this party. Them Birmingham. We have many mouths to feed, and the prices can't supply the need. Some of them are full and top in the office, sitting on someone's job. Oh, me Lord, they can't unite. Pressurizing, we must fight. Some of them don't give a damn and want to play the boss in this land. I hear me born, I hear me stand. Keep away from sinking sand. Construction, we must understand. Don't let the right pass to your hand. See them fellas in making sport. Tell me who are caused the priest to get it caught. Trouble in the land, fire in the party, they're burning down. Crisis facing every day, every morning you wake, it's been stupid. Some salary well secure, and hard time is standing in front of your door. You work and work for all these years, you die before you get a raise. And you know that's going on the hill, white chicken against this casino still. Here we born and here we stand, keep away from sinking sand. Construction, we must understand. Don't let the right pass to your hand. Say bad boys, they been making job. Tell me who are called the priest to get it for. Trouble in the land, fire in the party, they're burning down. life and you must use your head. This work we want just to make the bread. Don't let them talk with foolish mind. Put themselves in front and leave you behind. The basic cause we must have money. Oh, doctor help this damn country. Some of them is two of a kind. Walking bout fooling of the blind. Here we born and here we stand. Keep away from sinking sand. Shut up, we must understand. Don't let the white pass through the hand. Hear them fellas that make it joke. Then who are cause the priest to get it for? Trouble in the land, fire in. Party they burning it down. They burning it down. Fire in the party. 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 They burning it down.
Hi, this is Trombone Dixie, the Groove Master, and you're locked into
Super Hills Radio. Music.
It's rebuilding time. All monstrations abroad, please come. Paradise goes settle down again.
Hi, this is Trombone Dixie, the Groove Master, and you're locked into
Super Hills Radio. Music.
It's getting rough up as to speak with us. Me, because we have to win. Francis diving and bleeding. All long people live this life. And we go on. So bad we win again. Like I said,
I'm proud to be monstration. I'm proud to be monstration. Despite the changes of the hills and ranges, we standing tall, enduring all, proud of this great land, proud to be monstration. Everybody proud of this great land, proud to be monstration. Thank God for His love and guidance. We stand firm with faith and resilience. Proud of the richness of our culture, friendliness and unique character. Oh, Montserrat, precious Ali Ogana, we love you forever. I'm proud to be monstration. I'm proud to be monstration. Despite the changes of the hills and ranges, we standing tall, enduring all, proud of this great land, proud to be monstration. Everybody proud of this great land, proud to be monstration. Proud of this great land, proud to be monstration. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I wish to share with the people of Montserrat
Oh Montserrat, sweet Montserrat, my home, sweet home. I'm proud to be monstration, proud to be monstration. Sons and daughters of this land, our hearts are filled with devotion. On
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I wish to share with the people of Montserrat
Oh, Montserrat. Oh, Montserrat. Sweet Montserrat. Sweet Montserrat. My home, sweet home. I'm proud to be Monstration. Proud to be Monstration. Sons and daughters of this land, our hearts are filled with devotion. A new dawn of hope on the horizon, a desire to cope so rally on. Oh, Montserrat, precious Ali Ogana, we love you forever. I'm proud to be Monstration. I'm proud to be Monstration. Despite the changes of the hills and ranges, we standing tall, enduring all, proud of this great land. Proud to be Monstration. Everybody proud of this great land. Proud to be Monstration. Thank God for his love and guidance. We stand firm with faith and resilience. Proud of the richness of our culture, friendliness and unique character. Oh, Montserrat, precious Ali Ogana, we love you forever. I'm proud to be Monstration. I'm proud to be Monstration. Despite the changes of the hills and ranges, we standing tall, enduring all, proud of this great land. Proud to be Monstration. Everybody proud of this great land. Proud to be Monstration. Proud of this great.
A haven in the Caribbean Sea. Oh, Montserrat, my nature blessed to you, your children sing. Come, come, bring the world to you, your people. We rise and sing a country with honest land sacrifice, with mass we celebrate triumph and masters of our faith. Oh, Montserrat, my nature blessed to you, your children sing. Come with the wall, come bring the wall to you, your people cling.
Again, good night to all. I would like to thank you, the Monstrations, patriotic Monstrations who are residing in Birmingham and close by, for welcoming us, the truncated corporate governance team of the St. Patrick's Cooperative Credit Union tonight to speak with you and let you know what we have been doing at the credit union and what we intend to do and how we could help you. I am presuming that most of you are members of the credit union, and if not, that you are a patriotic monstration who is interested in becoming a member or ensuring that your children or grandchildren can own a piece of the rock and become members of the credit union. If any of you were present at our AGM on the 14th of June, I would have indicated that our current membership is a little over 4,000 persons, and our current population in Montserrat is a little under 5,000 persons. What that is intended to indicate is that a large portion of our members are actually in the diaspora. And we did commit that now that things were improving since the pandemic, that we had made a commitment to come and converse with you and let you know what we're doing, because we understand that some of you cannot come home as often as you would like. There may be issues in terms of communicating, who you can communicate with and how you need to get around what needs to happen. So I'm here tonight in my capacity as the president of the board of directors of the credit union. And for those of you who know my face and maybe not my name is Simone Watts-Laborde. I'm accompanied by the general manager, Mr. Peter Queeley. He's been with us over a decade, and I know he's no stranger to us, but he's here tonight in his capacity as a general manager and not what you may have recently heard him talking about or all of the other things that you may know of him. So it's really a great honor and pleasure tonight to be here with you. And I'd like to indicate, you may see me wearing a shirt saying 65 years of incorporation. This is a landmark year for us at the credit union. We're celebrating our 65th year, having been incorporated on the 18th of June, 1957. So we are celebrating that. And I just want to also say I'm very big on human resources and our personnel and our people and bigging us up, because we have a wealth of talent as monstrations and skills, and our union's progress is really the outcome of the outstanding capabilities and hard work of our team. We have quite a few volunteers, you will see the names tonight, who are part of the corporate governance team, but we also have staff, and we strive to recruit the best talent and continuously challenge and encourage our people to give of their best. And that is why I would have indicated, probably if you weren't at the AGM, we had a lot of staff members who were long-serving members between 10, 20, 30 years. And that really speaks to the testament of our people and our patriotism. And as I just indicated, Mr. Queeley has been with us for 10 years. So he's well poised tonight as our feature presenter to tell you what has been going on with the credit union, take some of the credit for the successes of the credit union over the last 10 years, and to try to encourage you to help us to do better and be more successful at the credit union. So without further ado, because I'm not the feature presenter, and welcome to those people online. I forgot to thank those people who are joining us online. I will pass over now to Mr. Queeley.
Thank you, Mrs. Laborde, for your greetings this afternoon. Thank you again, you monstrations in the diaspora and friends and supporters of Montserrat, for showing up this evening as our Madam President. I like to call her Boss Lady. She's the person in charge. I like to say that we're gathered here to really see what we can do, so to speak, in our language, in terms of getting the credit union as the premier financial institution in Montserrat, and at the same time, and by extension, investing and developing our homeland. Many of you know me in various other capacities, as the chair may have said, but tonight, it is a privilege for me to be here to talk banking and finance and development and so forth with you, and to speak about what we have been doing over the past 10 years at the credit union. The credit union, in a sense, back one, was established, as the chair said, we are celebrating our 65th year of anniversary. It was established in 1957, but officially registered in 1969. Originally, it was a Catholic-based institution, but of course, later down, it adopted an open-bound fashion, and so everybody could have joined and become a member and benefit from the credit union. Slightly different from the banking system, the credit union board of directors is democratically elected. And when I say that, I mean that you actually go to an AGM and you vote for the board of directors. And to be on the board, you just need to be a member. So it's unlike, say for example, the Bank of Montreal, where you have to own a certain amount of shares and so forth. That's not the case here. Once you are a member and you think that you can serve, you put yourself up, and if the members decide that they feel that you should serve them, then they will vote for you, and you can become a member of either the board of directors or the credit committee or the supervisory committee. You will see in the next slide, but the board, credit committee, supervisory committee, and the management are 99.9% local. Local minds, global vision. We are a member of the Caribbean Confederation of Credit Unions, and we are also a member of the World Credit Unions. So we are also regional, and we are also international. And just the other day, we had the World Credit Union Conference in Glasgow, and we were there also representing alongside the British Credit Union Leagues. We are ranked number 2 in Montserrat financial system as far as assets are concerned. Number 2 in assets, number 2 in loans, number 2 in deposits. We are number 1 in terms of community reinvestment, meaning that the majority of the funds that is raised in Montserrat is invested back into Montserrat. That is why we are ranked number 1. We have no account maintenance fees, so there is no $10 fee on your savings account every month, like some other institutions. And finally, we have a stable banking currency, the EC dollar, fixed to the US. Not much fluctuation with the US and the pounds, but of course, it is stable enough that you can bank your money in EC and get a return and not fear that the exchange rate may affect your losses or so forth. Next. As the president said, and you can see from the list here who our board of directors are, and you can just look at the last name, Mrs. Simone Watts Laborde is the extension part, local. Miss Lovetta Silcott, local. Miss Geraldine KB, local. Miss George Skerritt, local. Bertram Lee, local. Nicole Jobry, local. Deborah Lewis, local. That's the board. Credit committee. Michelle Castle, local. Lauren Piper, local. Gilmore Popchoy Williams, most of you know him, basketball president. Simon Chowit, Shivon Chowit. Royal McLeod White, you know McLeod, he plays music and so forth. Credit committee. Supervisory Compliance Committee, Denicia West, that is Peter Greasy White's daughter, if you don't know. She's the chairman of that committee. Brent Shuffler is the only non-local person who is part of our corporate governance. He's the internal auditor with the government, and we find him useful that he can be on our committee to assist us also. Then you have Clement Jerome Mead, that's Ruben Mead brother. Minerva Taylor Benjamin, that's the daughter of the Premier, and Jacqueline Martin Chewit. So, as I said before, 99.9% of the corporate governance team and management of the credit union is local. So, it stands to reason by extension, that we are the only indigenous institution in Montreal. Some of them, 10% is owned by some banks in St. Lucia and so forth and so forth. We don't want to discuss them. We're here to discuss tonight the only indigenous financial institution in Montreal. Next slide. Financial highlights. You would see there in that slide the performance and the financial highlights of the credit union December 20, as at in the financial year 2020, financial year 2021, and as at June 2020, which is a 6 months performance for this year so far. And you would see, in terms of profits, 2020 we made just over $500,000, $54.4 thousand. 2021, of course, last year was not such a good year. COVID and things take some time to set in. We made $211,000 there. But so far for the year 2022, our income is showing $143,000 so far positively. We have, as of June 2022, $73 million in assets. Our cash is $6.0 million. Cash meaning cash we have in our vaults and our bank balance sheets and so forth. Investments, which are fixed deposits, we have different places, and we do hold some investments also on the ECSC, Regional Government Securities. We do hold investments also with the Eastern Caribbean Home Mortgage Bank and so forth. So we are pretty diversified in fixed income securities. Those are $12.9 million. Very liquid investments also. Our loans are $51.1 million, and we account for about $71.6 million in deposits in the banking system. So we are fairly large, and as you can see, based on the pattern here, we are growing steadily, notwithstanding the effects of COVID. Next. Performance-wise, you would see the two items there highlighted black, one in orange, one in red. The cash reserve ratio, as I said, we are very liquid. The minimum standard set down by the central bank is 6%. The credit union is at 8.4%, so we are above the minimum standard as far as our cash reserve is concerned. Liquid assets ratio, minimum standard set down by the credit union laws is 15%. We are at 25.9%. Again, we are above the minimum standard, nearly double it, as you can see. Loan delinquency, the international standard set down by the international regulators is 5%. Your credit union is at 6.5%. The maximum, so we should be under 5. We're at 6.5. We have been traditionally high, up as far as 12 and 13, but we have done some excellent work to bring it down. And notwithstanding the effects of COVID that has affected the financial market in Montreal and our borrowers, we are still seeing success in reducing our delinquency ratio, and it is touching 6.5%. The plan set by the board is to get it down to 5% by the end of the year, and we will reach there. The capital ratio, which is showing you the strength of the credit union, and this is where we are not performing as we should, but there's a history to it. The minimum standard is 10%, so we should be 10% and above. We are at 1.7%. Now, you may ask, why is that? But as you know, Montreal has a history of natural disasters and so forth. So, if you go back to the days of Hurricane Hugo, the days of the volcano, and so forth, and then you had Clico recently, we have a history of significant loan losses that has affected our capital base. History of it. And that has accounted for our capital ratios being very low, because once a loan is bad, it has to be written off, and you have to take the loss. And we took a big loss during Hurricane Hugo. We took a big loss, well, everybody took a loss during the volcano, We took another loss again during CLECO, and we are still taking losses as it stands right now, but we are recovering. The regulators and the board, though, have had discussions about it, led ably by our president here, and there's a plan in place to reach the minimum 10% standard within the next 5 to 10 years. Originally, we had said 10 years. The regulators did disagree with us and said, don't it done in 5 years. The board has set about putting in place a plan, and you will hear a bit more about that later. As you can see, we have been pushing permanent shares and so forth on the radio and so forth. And that has helped a lot in terms of bringing the capital base back up to where it should be. Next slide. You may ask about account opening. That's always a problem. People need to know what they need to do to become a member of the credit union. We have done a slide there. Minimum standards set down by the Montserrat laws, and those laws are in relation to the anti-money laundering code, and the anti-money laundering regulations set down what is required by a member or a client to have an account with any financial institution in Montserrat. You must have at least one picture ID, one official government-issued picture ID to be a member. At the credit union, we say, okay, you must have a main ID, which could be your passport, valid driver's license, or social security card, and a secondary one, just in case the main one expires. We have a secondary one on file. And you're required to update them as they expire also. The law states we must know where our members reside and live, so there's a requirement for proof of address to become a member. How do you get that? Either a bank account statement, recent one, maybe the next three months, could be a credit card statement too, which shows your address. It could be a utility bill, cable, telephone, whatever, gas, sewage, water, whatever it is. And the bills must be in your name. And if the bills are not in your name, then, and you reside with somebody, then the person whose name the bill is should send a letter confirming that XYZ resides with me at XYZ address as shown at the bill, on the bill. And finally, must have a reference. If you're working, a job reference. If not, a reference from either your banker, your attorney, your accountant, your minister, your clergy, or somebody who is credible in the country who knows you, that says, yes, we know XYZ, and XYZ is a credible person and can become a member. So those things are set down in law. We have no choice but to follow them. If we don't follow them, we are penalized and charged according to the law for not maintaining the minimum standards. And they're very serious about that. To open an account at the credit union, you require, the passbook fees are $5, the entrance fee is $5, the minimum savings is $50, and you're required to buy a minimum of $100 permanent shares now to become a member. So the total, when you start in your account, is 160 EC dollars, not pound sterling. EC dollars. Next slide. We had the discussion just a while ago about permanent shares, and you saw in the previous slide that you're required to have a minimum of $100 permanent shares. But I did tell you that there's an issue with our capital base, and the board, along with the regulators, have set about attempting to repair the credit union's capital base via the sales of permanent shares. And the permanent shares is a member's ownership or equity in the credit union. Now, I will tell you that the plan is to increase the minimum permanent shares requirement from $100 per member to $1,000 per member. That's the plan. But the board has said and is implementing that, fully well knowing the hardships that our members face, that instead of having to reach the $1,000 instantaneously, which means overnight, it should be achieved over a minimum of 5, maybe 10 years. That's where we're discussing right now. So if it's over 5 years, then you add in $200 each year. If it's over 10 years, then you add in $100 each year. So that it is easy on the members to reach that standard. And so that is where we are at this point in time. We know we have to go there. We know what the regulators are saying that we need to go to per member. It's just a matter of deciding whether it's over 5 or 10 years, and then we will come back to you and let you know that, listen, this is the plan, and this is what we are doing. But in terms of the reasoning why we are doing this, permanent shares represents your membership, your ownership in the credit union. They cannot be withdrawn, but they can be transferred. So if you no longer wish to be a member of the credit union, or you pass, and we all have to pass at some point in time, they can be transferred to your children or your survivor or something along those lines. Permanent shares gives the credit union another option to raise capital, and most importantly, it is used for the growth and development of the credit union, especially our infrastructure. Now, what's that about? If you come and open an account at the credit union and you give me $500 in deposits, you expect that whenever you come for that money, that I should have it, right? And I should give it to you without delay. Correct? No hesitation. But at the same time, I'm required to provide you with services. I'm required to have an ATM, going to online banking, going to credit cards, going to all those fancy stuff. Where do I get that money from? I can't use your money. I can't use your deposits to do it. Because whenever you come for your money, I have to have it. I have to use something permanent. And that is where the permanent shares comes in. Because once you put that there, and it cannot be withdrawn or transferred, I could now take that money and invest it in a way so that I could better serve you. As I entered, a friend of mine asked me about, he wants online banking. I said to him, we have online banking. We have the part where you can go on your desktop or laptop and open your account and view your accounts. We are moving into the mobile banking using the Android phone and the Apple phone. The Android phone app is working. We are working on the Apple app. But it costs money. To do that, it costs a lot of money. And that is where your permanent shares comes in. So I'm making a pitch here tonight that we need you to invest in your permanent shares. And that permanent shares is utilized to develop your credit union. What do we intend to use those permanent shares for? It's right there. That's what we intend to use it for. Because what we are saying is that we are tired of being number 2 in certain areas. We want to be number 1. We want to better serve you. And so the intention is to utilize those permanent shares to invest in automated teller machine, to further develop our online banking, to further develop our debit and credit card services, to further develop our international card services, and also to use that money to create linkages that we can facilitate transfers of money between our diaspora and the credit union. Now, I will tell you that we actually had a meeting set up in Glasgow with they call themselves the Association of British Credit Unions, with the intention of entering into a partnership with them to facilitate transfers. But that is going to require us also to put in place certain infrastructure to facilitate those transfers. And that requires money. Money that is not going to be withdrawn from the credit union, but that will stay there, that we will use it to make those IT linkages and so forth that we could easily serve you. So that is where your permanent shares are going. It's not going nowhere else but to better serve you and to create the possibility that you can be able to transact business with the credit union from here very easily. Next slide. You would ask, what are our rates? Now, I picked up the Financial Times. I think I have it in my back someplace. The Financial Times. I normally read them whenever I get a chance to. And I saw that the Bank of England raised the interest rate, and then your mortgage rates now are raised by 0.25%. So you have these flexible rate things here. And so you can have a mortgage in the UK, the US, and the rate goes up, the rate comes down, but things generally go up, not come down. So in Montserrat, we don't have those floating moving rates. We have fixed rates. So you know exactly what your mortgage rate will be from day one to 30 years down the road. It's going to be fixed at that rate. And you know what your savings rate would be, and so forth. What's the savings rate here in the UK though? 0.5, 0.25%? What's the rate? Is zero? I know in some European countries it's zero and negative. I think in Denmark and Belgium, it actually went negative. That means you have to pay them to keep your money for you. But by law, the central bank sets the minimum savings rate at 2%. We can't go below that. For the banks, the credit unions follow suit. At least we do. So the minimum you can get on a savings account in the credit union is 2% per annum. Christmas club, term deposits, educational savings, retirement savings, fixed deposits, at least up to $500,000, they're all at 2.25%. The Christmas club is a club that you set up and you have access to the money in December when you come home. Term deposits is if you're saving for a particular event or occasion. Let's say that you want to go on vacation next 2 years, you save towards that. That's what you use the term deposits for. Educational savings is savings for your children, college education and so forth. That's what that plan is used for. Retirement savings, of course, is savings for your retirement. That will suit those persons in diaspora who plan to return home eventually, as most of you do. I see my friend Algie there. So that will be useful for him, because I know he has his mind on coming back home at some point in time. Fixed deposits, the rates are 2.25 and 2.5% if you're over $500,000. And those rates are fixed. Next slide. This slide, as I said, goes a bit more into our retirement savings plan, which I think, as I said before, is very useful for those persons in diaspora who plan to return home, or if you do not have one of those 401k or savings plan for retirement, or if you want to add to that, or by having something else, the SPCC retirement savings plan is the plan for you. Starts at $100. You must be, well, we change it now. It's no longer 55, it's 60. So you must be under 60 to qualify. And it runs from 80 to 65 years. What you say? That some of you are over that. I'm sorry. Okay. So we will speak and then I will see how we can vary or we can create something to suit you. We are flexible. We will. So to suit you. And you require to have a minimum on just start the plan, and the rate is 2.25 per annum. That's our savings retirement plan. A lot of persons seem to like that, and planning for the retirement is a big thing now in the Caribbean and in diaspora. So that's something that we encourage you to look at if you're looking to return home, or even if not, you're looking to return. If you want to have some investments at home. This, again, is another one of our products that we feature, and we have had a lot of traffic for this product, especially from our diaspora persons. I think the diaspora persons probably command the most of this particular product at the credit union. That's the family indemnity plan. It's a plan whereby it's an insurance plan whereby you pay a fixed figure every month, and you can have up to 6 eligible family members. Could be you, your wife, or spouse, or whoever, your kids, your mother, or father. And in the event, and it always happens, in the unlikely event which eventually happens, that someone passes, you can access monies to assist with the funeral and so forth of your loved ones. I would tell you that a lot of people in the diaspora has benefited by using this plan to enable them to travel, to come home or vice versa for funerals and so forth, and to assist their families back home in terms of when their loved one pass. So if you do not have the family in the plan, I'm saying this evening, don't let me leave and don't have your name, that I can sign you up when I go back home. It is the product that, that we find that, is fitting for everybody. Next slide. These are the types of loans that we have: small business, furniture, personal, debt collection, medical, student loans, wedding, vacation, vehicle, and mortgages. I'll show you a bit about our mortgages in a bit. Apart from those loans, though, we do have 2 partnerships with the government of Montserrat. We do the government home mortgage scheme, which is the 3% and 5% low-income loans for persons who can't afford to get a mortgage at the commercial rate, but the government assists them and so forth. And those loans are done through the credit union in terms of management. The approval is the government. We do the management part of it. And we also do what you call now the new enterprise development scheme loans, which is the loans for small business development. The maximum that those loans are $20,000 and 20. And the credit union is the party that administers those loans. The approval is done by a committee along with the government to access those loans. But the management of those loans and so forth and accessing of the monies and so are done through us. So apart from that, you can access other loans once you qualify through the government of Montserrat. This is our mortgage product, and we recently had to vary it because we had a limit in terms of how much any one person can borrow, or group of related persons. We capped that at 500,000 in the past, but we have had reason to increase that limit to 750,000 EC because we have noticed that a number of persons, especially in the diaspora, are coming home and they are purchasing properties in Woodlands and Alveston and so forth, and they require loans of that nature for them to be able to access and buy those properties. And we have decided, okay, we will shift ourselves, because the credit union is very flexible, so that we could adjust ourselves to accommodate those persons, especially in the diaspora, who want to access those loans to own a piece of the rock. So before, maximum that we can lend now is EC 750,000. You divide that by 3.3, and you bring it into pound sterling, so you know what the pound sterling rate equivalent is. Interest rate, 5% fixed. Not going to change overnight on you. Maximum term that we lend for is 30 years. Again, it depends on your age, though. Because if you're 60 and you come, we wouldn't consider you for a 30-year loan, because at 90, we wouldn't expect you to be paying a loan. And in some cases, the Bible says 3 scores and 10, and anything beyond that is reason of strength. All right. We want you to enjoy your retirement. back here. Back one more. Right. And finally, and we will explain that in a bit, the next one. Depending on whether you're buying or you're building, the deposit that you need to put down would be either 5 or 10%. Now, this is your requirements, and I will leave this slide up there for about a couple of minutes, because most people want to know this information. If you're getting a mortgage to either buy or build a property. If you're buying, we require to see a property sales agreement between you and the party who you're buying from. That's standard. Secondly, we need to see the ownership, that the person who is selling the property can sell it to you or have the ability to sell it to you. So we need to see something that supports your ownership deed. Thirdly, valuation. We need to know what the property is, what it's worth, and so that we can look at the property versus our loan to see whether it makes sense that we give a loan for the property, so that if anything goes wrong, we would have access to it. That has to be done by a certified valuer, and there's a list that you can choose from in Montserrat. If you are building a property from scratch, then you're going to probably have the land. That's the first thing. And we do give land loans, so you can come to us for the land loan too. And then you can upgrade into a property loan. So if you're building, you must have an approved plan from the physical planning department. That's where Jerome Mead is in charge of. That's the first thing. Second thing, you must show us that you own the land that you're building on, or whosoever else, your family member, whosoever else. That's number 2. Number 3, we must see a valuation from a certified valuer as to the cost to build the property. So what they would normally do is that they would take the plan from the architect and go through it and say, okay, we believe that this is the approximate cost to build a property of this size based on the current rates for labor and materials and so forth in Montserrat. So a certified valuer has to do that. And then lastly, whosoever you are contracting to build the property, we must see from them also a contractor's agreement and estimate as to how much they think it will cost them to build the property, labor and materials, and we match that. We match the contractor's estimate to the estimate produced by the valuer to see if both of them are making sense, or if they're corresponding, if they're too far apart, and so forth. So, to buy or to build, other requirements, if you're buying the property, deposit is 10%. If you are building, you have land, we assume you have land, because you must have land to build, the deposit is 5%. Our minimum debt service ratio is 45%, meaning that your total debts that you're paying, whether your mortgage, your credit card, and so forth, must not exceed 45% of your net salary salary after tax, NHS here, for example, and so forth. Credit score, if you're in the diaspora, we do request a credit score. If you're in Montserrat, we now having what you call a regional credit rating agency, but what we do is call the banks on them to find out what your balances are. But from the diaspora, we do have to supply a credit score, and I think I see people like Experian and so is what we normally see, we normally get. And we will look at it and look at the ratings too. Property is built or bought. Once it's under a mortgage, you know where we live. In the hurricane belt, earthquakes pass very frequently. You know it is down there. So you must have homeowners insurance to protect you and us. Because we live in an area that you know hurricanes come through very frequently. The volcano creates earth movements. You do have earthquakes and so forth. And yes, so the loan fees, minimum 2% or whatever the value of the loan. However, if you have a mortgage at another bank and you're bringing that mortgage over to the credit union, we waive the loan fees. But we can't do nothing about the legal fees and the government fees. Those are not our domain. So what we do waive the loan fees if you're bringing them over from another bank. And of course, once you have a mortgage, you must have a charge in favor of the credit union, duly registered on the property once it's mortgaged for our protection in the event that something goes wrong and we need to exercise against the property for collection purposes. I will just leave the slide up there for another minute. And it's available though. And Mr. Farrell has a copy of it, and he will be able to email it out to everybody who wants to access it. Or I can do it on Mrs. Laborde or whoever else. But this is the requirements for mortgage loans. And if you have any special needed questions, then we can always deal with that. Next slide. We had, before we left, we know that we're coming to you, so we took the opportunity to do some research to see what sort of concessions are available to persons in the diaspora if they're coming home or if they decide to buy or build a property in Montserrat. And so what we did here is that we just put everything into one to try to show you in a snapshot what you can have access to. Again, this information will be emailed out to you, so you get it. You have SDRO 45 of 2020, which gives a concession of customs duties and concession tax on property if you are building a home for sale or rental. So if you're building a home for sale or rental, you can get a concession of it. SDRO 47 of 2020 applies to private homes if you're building a home to live also. You can get a concession of that. Returning musicians, whereby musicians can be exempted from the payment of customs duties and taxes on a number of personal items. I have a slide later that shows the details of that. But if you're coming back home, you can apply for that concession and you get exemption from bringing in a car or materials or tools of the trade. I think the only thing that you do have to pay is the 5% customs service charge. Right, that's all you have to pay. But they waive the import duties and the construction tax. SNRO 56, 57, 58, or 65 deals with if you're planning to do any investment or buy any property or develop any property in what we call Zone C, which is the unsafe zone part, Cork Hill, Delvins, Weeks Hills, Richmond Hill, Foxy Bay, and so forth. Those SNROs deal with concessions to people who want to either buy, build, develop, clean, whatever properties in those regions. And I know of one person at least in Manchester who we met who actually had properties, bought properties, and are doing some development in the Richmond Hill area. And in the Foxes Bay region, I know of about 4 or 5 properties there that have been refurbished and persons have put in, solar plants and so forth, and water plants to support the properties and so forth. So at least those areas are becoming now to come back to life. And so if you desire to look at those areas, the government does provide concessions for you, and we will, any assistance that we can render in terms of guiding you, we will do so. I was speaking a bit to the concessions that you get as a returning national. I listed the major 5 here. Household and personal items. So if you bring home name them. Your entire household, your beds, refrigerators, stoves, whatever have you. They come in duty-free. New or used motor vehicle, duty-free, but you cannot sell it before 5 years. If you are into trade, mechanic, mason, carpenter, whatever you do, and you bring home your tools, duty-free. Bicycles for exercise and so forth, duty-free. And if you're a retiree and you desire to hold a foreign currency account to receive your pound sterling payments, pensions and so forth, you're permitted to hold a foreign currency account for that purpose. So those are what applies to you returning nationals when you decide to return home. If you are going into business, we took some time to do some research to give you an idea as to what concessions that you can have if you decide to come home and go into business, or if you decide to stay here and you want to invest in a business. If you look under the Hotel Aid Act, you can get an exemption on custom duties on materials and equipment if you want to start a hotel or a guest house or bed and breakfast or something. And you can get up to 10 years concession on the income from the property. So if you start the business and the business is generating profits, you don't have to pay anything to the government up to 10 years if you qualify for the concession. That applies to hotels, guest houses, bed and breakfast, and so forth, if you want to invest in that. If you look at going into manufacturing or processing or whatever else, the same thing applies. If you're bringing in equipment and so forth, you get the concession. But in this case, though, you can get up between 10 to 15 years tax holidays on the income from the business. And of course, as a general catch-all phrase, any person can apply to the customs, to the government, if they are in need of a concession and they're able to show that they're doing a business and they require such. So if you're a farmer, you want to bring in a truck or tractor, or a butcher, you want to bring in equipment to do your butchering, whatever else it is. Once you see that there is the opportunity and you want to access the concession, you can apply. And if you need assistance, the credit union can point you in the right direction. I have just detailed them a bit more for you, what I just said there, so you can have a better idea as to, what the concessions are in terms of for hotels, for if you're buying, if you're extending the property to machinery for agriculture, if you're doing poultry, livestock, and so forth, what we have done there is give you a bit more flesh on it, so you can see what you can qualify for and what you can do in terms of coming back home, in terms of investing. For me, pay attention to the hotels, guest houses, bed and breakfast, because that is the area that the government is focusing on right now. Under the EDS, they did put that industry as one of the areas that they want to develop, because they want to expand room capacity in Montreal right now. So that is prime priority area. Also, another priority area is agriculture, livestock, poultry, fisheries, and so forth. That's another priority area. If you're looking at energy and so forth, that's a priority area. And if you're going into information technology, that's also a priority area also, that you can easily access concessions and soft loans or grants to start and develop those businesses. Okay, we are down to the final 2 slides. And the final 2 slides are just my feelings or my opinion, and that's my personal opinion, on what we need to do in terms of moving the country along. So what are the imperatives to go to development in Montserrat? I have picked out what I consider to be my 10 most priority areas for you. Of course, if you have a difference of opinion with me, fine, we don't have a problem that we could discuss that. And we could have a good chat on it. But I've tried to stimulate your thought by picking up, well, my 10. Newport cruise storage dock facilities, I think, is priority. Yes, we do need to improve medical services. We need to improve sea and air transportation. We have fiber optic in place, both Digicel and Lime. They're up and running, so you do have the capacity right now to do online businesses, and it's to your home and to your business. Cheaper energy sources, geothermal, solar. We do have 1 or 2 solar plants there, and some persons have done solar plants in the Zone C to facilitate their properties there. We need to have a better way of promoting our tourism investments and so forth. Just coming up on the highway with my brother there, I heard an ad about going to Barbados on this UK channel. And I said to him, but I heard an ad for Antigua. I heard one for Barbados. I've heard one for Montserrat. What's going on? We need to better promote the tourism product here. In Manchester, I drove by a travel agency. Thank you. And I see Barbados there. I saw Guyana there too. And I'm like, I see St. Lucia, but I didn't see Montserrat. So we need to better promote ourselves. We need to better go at exploiting our national resources, sand mining. We are going into the zone there, just in the Plymouth area, but the whole Trans area and so forth, we haven't touched those areas as yet. And there's a lot of sand and so up there. We need to look better at our financial services industry, in my view. Trusts, mutual funds, hedge funds, capital insurance, the BVI, Cayman and so is doing it. We're not doing that. We need lower income and corporate tax structures and rates. Just the other night, I was listening to the debate between Liz Truss and Richie Sunak. And they were talking about lowering taxes and so forth and so forth. And I said to myself, but these guys are talking about lowering taxes in the UK, where taxes, to me, are already low. Because when I look at our corporate income tax in Munster, which is the tax on business, it's 30%. And Liz Truss is proposing to take the corporate income tax in the UK down further from 19%. And I'm saying, wow, if we can do that in Montserrat, people can come back home. It gives you an incentive that you know that when you invest, you can get more of your return. Even the minimum tax threshold, in my other capacity, I speak a lot about it. But in the UK, the minimum tax threshold is 12,000 something per year, which is 1,000 something US. And they don't tax you below that. 1,000 US, for argument's sake, is $3,300 easy. That's where it converts to. You get taxed in Montserrat from $1,250 and up. Your tax starts from $1,250 and up in Montserrat. In the UK, it starts at $3,300 and up. Well, I think it comes to about $3,007 when I did the conversion, after I heard Liz Truss and them talking about it that night. It stimulated me to do the research. So we are higher. We are higher there. And, well, we have no minimum wage. What's the minimum wage here in the UK? £9 per hour? 8, 9? $9.50 per hour, yes. Multiply that by 40 hours a week, that's how much you get. Yeah. So, we really need to do something about those last two. In Montserrat, my argument has been, in another life, that if you want to say that you're British, and you want to argue the British, then tell them at least, put you on the same standard with them, tax-wise, minimum wage, policy-wise, and so forth. You can't have us in Montserrat having one standard, and you here in the diaspora, well, in the UK, having another standard. If you're all British, treat all of us the same. But we will continue to see how that goes. Next slide. What are the investment options? Before I came here, I decided to just drive around Montserrat and figure out in my mind, after driving, what I think is needed here, needed in Montserrat. Of course, I have 2 young kids, so I am biased towards what they're telling me. An 11-year-old and a 4-year-old. So some of the things you see inside there is what they tell me that they want in Montserrat. We need to have real estate retirement investment properties. People who are coming home, we are retiring, they can't afford to build a house, but they need a place to live and to rent or to something like that. We need those type of things in Montserrat. We need hotels, guest houses, villas, condominiums, timeshare. We need more room space. If you don't have more room space in Montserrat, the people are not going to come. They need a place to stay, to live, whatever else have you. We need more room. Room space also generates more flights. And if an airline knows that they have a hotel that they can bring people in and stay for a weekend or 2, that is it. St. Kitts had no flights from the US before Marriott. None. As soon as they build Marriott, they have a daily flight to Miami and about 3 times a week to New York and twice a week British Airways via Antigua. But we can interconnect in St. Martin and so forth and Antigua. So it just goes to show you what we can do. Attractions, theme parks, zip liners, mineral bath, we need that. Cinemas, clubs, attraction. I had to pay. I can't remember. But when Black Panther came out, I had to pay to carry my wife and my kids and them over to Antigua to watch Black Panther in the cinema. And they tell me know about Black Panther 2. And it's played now. It's flying. So we need something to, the kids, the young people, the teenagers, when they go on a date, they need, go to a cinema. I mean, when you guys were young, you used to go to Shamrock Cinema to watch more. We need those things. I think so. We need back either a medical school or a geological school so people can, run their taxis and get jobs and, so forth, Our persons are coming here to run, but in Montserrat they run on a grass track. When I was 13, 14, 15 years old, the government used to pay for me to go to Antigua to for practice at Yasco. Because we had no grass track. We had no grass track. I used to go like twice a month and so forth. That time, Buffon was a sports officer. And Brandt was a sports minister, I think, under the PLM, the NPP days, yeah. But 2022, and we have no grass track. So the guys are coming up here to run, training all their time on the grass track. Only those who have been to universities or who, live out universities have the possibility of training. We need better facilities. We do have a top standard football field here that's up to the scratch. But we need other facilities. Cricket, we need something to at least host a 2020. At least that. At least a 2020 game. I'm not a one day or a test match. 2020, 4-5 hours, I'll be done with that. Ferry, we need one when it's coming. I'm tired of people telling me about pharmacy, so I put it down there. We only have one, and the government. That's 2. We don't have no shopping complex. We have no fast food chain, so when I go to Antigua on Saturday, I have to buy cakes to take over to Montserrat and Subway. Tell you I have an 11-year-old and a 4-year-old. I have to. We need light and smart manufacturing industries. We had a few before, back in the days of W&W and so forth. And fish selling, there was a fish selling thing. I used to make fish hooks or something like that, I was told. But we don't have anything like that anymore. And of course, agriculture and fish processing, we need that. Just imagine in 2022, the fishermen still come in, put their fish in ice coolers on the back of a truck and drive around. There's supposed to be a fixed place, someplace, a fish market where you go and you label your fish out, and the people know it is, and they come and charge, and you have the ice there for freezing and storage and so forth, and if you have excess, the government buy it from you and put it up and so forth, and you save and you store and ship to other islands and so forth. In this day and age, I mean, and Antigua has 4 of them, we have none. Dominica has 3 of them. So we need better facilities for agriculture and fishing and so forth. At least for agriculture, I know for certain we need better cold storage. Because we are now producing the lettuce and so forth. But of course, we need to cold storage them so that they can last a bit longer. We need that. That's about it. As I said, the last 2 slides are my own personal opinion. So they are subject to argument. But the focus for this evening presentation is on the credit union and what we can do for you and what you can do for us. So with that said, I thank you for listening, and I stand ready for questions or comments along with my president here to interact with you.
Good afternoon. My name is Claristine Mead. I have a question for you, the last thing you just said. I thought, yes, we are living in modern times, but as a monstration, when I was coming up as a young girl, and even an adult there, because we didn't have a place, a special place that you just mentioned, where you could go and buy your fish. It was a pleasure to hear the pop, 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 pop with the hand blowing, and everybody get the plastic bag and go out. You know, it was our culture, and I think nothing is wrong with it. To be honest, I wish that could continue, because it's like it's a cultural thing. And, you know, even we have to think about the elderly. Sometimes the elderly can't afford to go out to Casbig or buy fish, you know. But you hear the Hannah come and you take your little time and you stick or whatever and you go and you buy your fish. So that it would be nice if that could stay, honestly.
I'm not going to argue with you.
You agree with me, everybody? Okay. You could have both, yes. But it would be nice if that could stay too. I long to hear the Hannah blow.
Mr. Queeley.
Yes, sir.
There's a Lieutenant Allen asking how he can get in touch with you for further information. So if you can just give us some information how to get to you.
Yes, you can reach me, Mr. Allen, on WhatsApp. It's 664-496-8776. 664-496-8776. That's my WhatsApp. Or you can reach me. Well, yes. Yeah, you put the plus 164 for if you're in the UK and so forth. By email, it's Peter, P-E-T-E-R, Peter.Queeley, Queeley, at spccu.ms. So it's Peter, P-E-T-E-R, .Queeley, Queeley, at spccu.ms. And Mr. Keatley will send the flyers up so you can see on the screen. Yeah. My contact details there. Go back to the front screen. Not there. Oh no, it's the flyer. It's the flyer here. Mm-hmm. Any more questions or comments? Yeah, did she come with the mic?
Yes, I have a saving going on in Montserrat Credit Union, going in every month.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ask me right now, how much money I have there, I don't know. I'm supposed to get some kind of report there, maybe every 6 months or a year. But I'm on the money saving,
mm-hmm.
and if I want to know, I have to call down here to find out what I have there. So what's the problem that I can't get a letter maybe every 6 months or every year? Or every 3 months. Yeah, we ain't getting nothing. I don't. The money's paying me.
Okay, that is something that we can look into.
We need some kind. I need some kind of report of what I have there.
Yeah, it can be done either
whatever.
physical or via email or so forth. Because we had a challenge when COVID about mails going out and so forth. But with online banking too, you can access and see it also if you fancy that kind of thing. But we will look into it, and your point is well taken.
All right. Thank you.
We have online banking from the desktop or the laptop. We are working on the mobile part of it right now. But you have to email us to apply, and the email is info@spccu.ms, and we'll send you back your shares.
Could you please explain about the permanent shares and that bit?
Okay. The permanent shares is basically your investment to an ownership in the credit union. Now, in the past, we required each member to just have $100 in permanent shares, and that becomes a member, and we used to use those monies to operate the credit union, to building, to build the building, and to buy ACs and so forth, and the banking software and so forth. What has happened though is that we have grown large. We have to innovate and get into other products and services to better serve you. And also we live in an environment where you do take losses because of the nature of the environment that we live in, hurricanes, volcanoes, and so forth. The time has come now that we need to adequately capitalize the credit union to give it some more strength, and so that it could better serve you. And so we have been asked to increase our capital, which is our permanent shares. And so the idea is to increase the minimum requirement from $100 to $1,000, but to give you time to meet that requirement. So it wouldn't be something that we just put on you overnight. Listen, in order to be a member, you have to have $1,000, and we stop you from doing business like that. We give you either 5 years, 7 years, or 8 years, whatever time, so that you could build up those permanent shares over time. But we're going to use that money now to expand the credit union, to invest more in our online banking platform and our softwares and our ATMs and stuff, whatever we want to do, so that we can better serve you. Because we cannot take your deposit and do it. Because whenever you come for your money, we have to have it to give you. So we need something else more permanent then that we can utilize to invest. In the bank, they have shares, you could buy shares. We are a bit more democratic. So we say permanent shares, and we limit you to $1,000 so that you're not. But you can buy more if you want to. But
Yes.
the minimum is $1,000.
Yes, and what is going to be your return for the investment?
Eventually, the return will be dividends. The law, though, stops you from paying dividends if you're not adequately capitalized. So once we reach the 10% level of our capital to our assets, then we can pay dividends on it. But we cannot pay dividends right away. It takes some time to pay dividends. If you remember the history of Bank of Montserrat, in 1991, when they had some issues, they couldn't pay any dividends, and they only started paying dividends in 2016. So they spent about 25 years without paying the dividends. The reality is that banking in Montserrat is expensive, and it's a small place. So it takes time for you to, to reach a certain level.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Why can't we develop a system where we can send money from England to Montserrat direct?
That is something that we have been working on. I will tell you, at the present, you can send money to us via Western Union, MoneyGram, or via a wire transfer via the Bank of Montserrat. We found that to be somewhat, in some cases, inconveniencing for some members.
It is.
And the plan was for us to have a discussion here with the British Credit Union Leagues to form a partnership as to how our members in Montserrat, who will be their members in the UK, can move monies easily from the UK to Montserrat. That meeting did not come off in Glasgow because of a COVID outbreak, but it is planned. We have to come back again for it, because the idea is that we will open an account here in various credit unions, and you go and credit the monies to our account here, and we recognize the monies over there as a transfer in Montserrat to pay your loan and so forth. Okay. But you will have to be a member of both the credit union here and the credit union there for it to happen.
Okay, can I just say, I'm a member of the credit union in Montserrat.
Right.
Okay? But it took me some months ago, just before COVID, I've sent £5,000 to, well, I was told I can send it direct from the bank here.
Right.
To Montserrat. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But instead of, there was a mix-up where you had to go to St. Kitts you have to send it to St. Kitts and then you had to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
It took me how much months before I could have got my money back?
Oh.
Because the system is very poor. We need to develop a proper system where we don't need to go to St. Kitts and I was told you got to go to Antigua to find where your money is. I said, hang on a bit. I've sent my money down there, so you should find that money for me, which they eventually, after how much months of searching, they found out where the money was. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I got it back to my account. So we need to develop a system where we can do that. Mm-hmm. Where people don't have to go to MoneyGram and Western Union, because going to MoneyGram and Western Union, you have to
pay fees.
Pay fees, and you have to tell them where you're sending your hard-earned money from. Yeah. Got another question. How about Dcash? What's Dcash? Does Dcash work?
Yes, we have Dcash up and running. Dcash is a platform run by the central bank to facilitate online payments and so forth, mm-hmm. and also cashless payments in Montserrat. So we are an agent. We are a fully fledged agent. So you can come to us, and we can open a Dcash account for you. We can load the account with monies from your account. You have the app on your phone, and you can go anywhere in Montserrat and the OECS where Dcash agents are, or Dcash partners are, supermarkets and stores, whatever, and pay for goods and services that you're buying there. If you're in the diaspora, there more than likely will be no Dcash agents in the diaspora that you can use to buy, but you can actually have a Dcash account still and transfer those monies between yourselves or to your friends in Montserrat and so forth. But to load them, you have to load them from the credit union or from back of Montserrat.
So do I come to you directly for the cash?
Yes, you have to apply to us and we will facilitate the opening.
So how
account.
do I apply? To just write to you?
Yes,
Just call you?
yes.
Right, so can you give me that information?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
And I was saying the other thing. We need to, you're talking about the present future. If Montserrat want to get some kind of good investment, we need to be looking forward. At the moment, we're looking too much backward. We're not doing what we should be doing for people here in England and the other countries to invest properly in Montserrat. Our system is not right in Montserrat. And if you have to go through all these Caribbean countries just to get to Montserrat, it's a very poor system.
Okay.
And it's really outdated, so it's pointless you come and telling us all this nice fancy story where we can't send nothing to Montserrat. We have to go to all these other agencies.
Okay.
Charges and answers.
Right. I fully appreciate the comment, and as I said before, we will definitely be back in the UK shortly to have that meeting, because the plan was to have that meeting and to form that link. That is still outstanding. We understand that it's a cry from the diaspora, and my president is here, and we will definitely come back and get it done. We appreciate that. Yeah.
My question is sort of around what he was asking. I've got an account with yourselves, and you mentioned the different requirements for the account. If you're opening an account, but I've got an account which is dormant.
Okay.
My daughter in America, she would like to send monies into that account. What does she need to do? What information would you need from her or from myself? And how would she deposit that money? And you know, that gentleman was asking the same question. Can she do an automatic monthly setup? And would there, it's a few questions all in one. Would there be any maintenance fee? And is there a minimum balance requirement?
Okay. Let me start. The minimum balance requirement is $50 on the account. There is no maintenance fee, but you'll be required to have at least $100 permanent shares along with the account. Now, when you open an account, there are certain requirements that you have to have. A valid ID, or two, proof of address, and a reference. Now, if you haven't transacted business on the account for 2 years, it goes into dormancy to protect you. Reason is that once an account shows no activity, we have to secure it and treat it specially. So access to it is limited to certain persons. To bring it out of dormancy now, we have to prove that you are who you say you are. So we're going to ask you to present your ID again. If your ID is expired, we're going to tell you, give us an updated ID. If your address has changed, we're going to tell you, give us an updated address for you. We're going to update the file and then allow you now to be able to transact the business via that same account. You won't be able to transact business until the account is back live. So the first step is to bring the account back live, and then your daughter can now send monies into it from the US or wherever. So what you need to do is to give us a call or email, tell us what the account is, and then we will respond to you and tell you what is required to update update that account, and then we go from there. Yeah. Yes, we can give you the instructions via wire transfer to send monies to the account, or you can send it via Western Union or MoneyGram. But we have instructions via wire transfer that you get from either the UK or the US to send monies directly into the account. So that can be given to her. Yeah. understand. Thing to do, yes. Mm-hmm.
You might as well send it as well.
With it, yeah, yeah.
So we, you know, that's what we try to do.
Yeah. As I said, that was the intention in Glasgow to have that meeting with the British Credit Union, because we realized that we could not get it done with the banking system. It was difficult. So our intention was to form a partnership with the credit unions in the UK and use that now as the bridge to be able to move monies from here to there by simply just depositing the monies into our account here, and we recognize it in Montserrat. That meeting, because of COVID and other things, didn't come off. Was cancelled this same day of the meeting. But there's a commitment from the president that we will have that meeting in short order. So we will be back as soon as a time is set up, and you know, the persons, because I think the league is based in Manchester. Once we have a new date for the meeting, we will be back to have that meeting, because we understood, and coming out of this discussion here, there's a need for us to have that up and running. Yes.
Can I just say something, my
yes,
brother?
Yeah.
It's a couple of observations, actually. You spoke something about the Dcash.
Dcash, yes.
And you said that it's throughout the Caribbean. And
yes.
Also you're fully authorized in Montserrat.
Yes.
One question first. How many business, entities in Montserrat are running Dcash so that we can go and actually make payments there? Just give me just an indicative idea of how many. So that means that it's feasible. Off
the top of my head, because I don't know. I know the agents for us is about 6 or 7 agents that we have. I don't know the agents for Bank of Montserrat. But you can transact at any agent. So it's probably around 10.
The main reason I'm asking the question is because we all know the debacle that we're in now with Royal Bank of Canada being acquired now by Bank of Montserrat. And me as a person have been and suffered under the system where I've been to Montserrat with my Visa card in my pocket, and I'm broke and have to beg my brother here for give me something, because I am fully loaded, but I am not loaded. So the point is, that's why I'm asking you, if I load up on the Dcash from here, I will have access to funds when I go there. However, if there's only 2 or 3 people using Dcash, it don't make sense. Yeah. That's question one.
Okay, let me answer it so that I don't lose the thought.
Yeah.
Okay, the loading will have to be done from Montserrat. You have to tell us to load your account. You must have an account with us, and we will load it from there. Now, the problem
so I will need to work with the cash.
Or send it to us
or send it to you. Okay,
right.
Fine.
No, let me tell you the problem with the cash. I shouldn't say it, but I would say it because I tend to be transparent. Okay. The problem with the cash is that you have banks in the system that have their structure set up, their debit cards and their credit cards at the various supermarkets, where you call the merchant banking. And when you swipe those cards, the banks make money from that. You follow me? No, so the banks then are not interested in switching from that business to Dcash, because Dcash carries no fees for the banks. So you find that the banks are not pushing it, but the credit unions, who are not losing or gaining anything by it, are pushing it.
So the question is now, fine.
So what we have done now
is the benefit to the people like me.
Right.
That is all I'm interested in.
So what we have done is that we have re-engaged the central bank and said, listen, this is the problem that we are seeing in Montserrat, and we have asked for their assistance to push it out throughout the entire Montserrat, along with assistance in marketing and driving it, because we alone couldn't do it. And so that is where we are right now.
Okay. And you mentioned, so let's come off the cash issue. Let's go into a different area. You just mentioned that there was going to be a meeting in Scotland.
Glasgow, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And as my brother said there, it needs to be sooner than later, because we need to know how we can transfer funds safely, securely, and easily into Montserrat. I know about the correspondence bank issues with government and everything, and we won't get into that, but I know that is a problem. Let me just focus on something else. It's the elephant in the room right now that maybe some people don't want to talk about it. But I'm going to be devil's advocate. If I know many financial institutions want to raise their business acumen and raise money, and what they will do is to sell shares. This is a move that the credit unions seem to be on and want to improve their share capital. Am I right or wrong?
Yes.
Okay. Now, where I'm going with this is that you will voluntarily go and you will buy shares to, because you know that there's going to be some dividend being paid on those shares.
Eventually.
Eventually. Okay. Now, where I'm going with this is that it's a requirement at the moment to pay $100. Is it a requirement or it's mandated? It's something that we need to clarify.
There is a requirement in
is it mandatory?
bylaws.
Is it mandatory that if I want to open an account at the credit union,
yes,
I have to pay? No. So therefore, it's going to be $100 for me in shares. Maybe I don't want to pay it, but in order for me to open an account, it's been forced upon me. It's mandatory.
Yeah.
Now you're going to say now that you're going to be making it up to 1,000. My problem with that is, I know that it's to provide the credit union with services, so you want to capitalize the bank so you can provide your online banking, your internet banking, whatever, and your ATM machines and stuff. I understand all that. I am asking what is there for me, because if I invest £1,000, 1,000 EC dollars into the credit union, and I leave it dormant, I do not know, and you cannot tell me now when the credit union will be capitalized or fully capitalized. It's a legal requirement not to pay dividends if the bank is undercapitalized. So I want to know, you don't know, would it make sense for me to put $1,000 and I'm not getting the return, and I don't know when I'm going to get a return? That is something that people need to think about. I'm not saying that it's a bad idea. This is an institution from Montserrat that has been going for years, and obviously we need to support it. So I will be the first one to support that. However, we need to be very, very clear as to what we're getting into, especially with people's hard-earned money.
Okay. Let me explain what's happening. Our regulator, which is the Financial Services Commission, has issued us with draft regulations to the Act, to the Cooperative Societies Act, which is a regional act and a regional regulations. And in those regulations, they are proposing by law to increase the minimum permanent shares from $100 to $1,000 for corporate governance holders, members of the credit union. Okay? Our response was, we don't have a problem with it. But the way how the credit unions are set up is that we are democratic. So we don't, for somebody to become a corporate governance member, they have to go to an AGM and be voted. So if you are saying to us that a corporate member must have minimum $1,000, and our requirement is that anybody can go to an AGM and get voted, then you are restricting persons from becoming a part of our board or our credit committee or so forth, which is undemocratic. So the only way to get around that then is to mandate that everybody have the minimum $1,000 so that everybody knows we're on the same platform to qualify. Fine. But we are democratic. We have to give everybody that equal opportunity. We cannot segregate. We cannot do like some of the institutions and segregate. We have to be on this level platform. That's the first thing. Yes, I'm getting to that. The other thing is that we recognize that in order for us to provide you with certain services that you need and that you're asking for, clearly you're asking us here to come better, to do better, to set up different structures to better serve you, to allow you to move monies between here and England and so forth. Those things cost money.
Do it as well.
The government isn't granting it, sir. Simple and straight. The government isn't granting it. We have to do it ourselves.
So here's what we're looking at. We're talking about being progressive. We're talking about going forward.
But I need to answer Ajit's question before if you would allow me to answer his question. Now, we have done our calculations, Angie, and what we have seen is if everybody moves to the $1,000 and we give them at least 5 years to move, because we're not going to say you do it right away. We're not give you time to get there. We say, okay, let's give you 5 years. To be honest, the board proposed 10, the regulator just said no, 5. So we need to come at some middle ground. And the president is here. She's leading the charge. There needs to be a middle ground set as to how much time we need to do it. We have calculated that if everybody gets the $1,000, that within the space of 5 to 6 years, with how the profits that we're making every year, we should be either close or at the minimum 10% that we need to be. So we are calculating in 5 to 6 years' time, maximum 7 years. Once we adopt that standard, we should be very close or at the point that we say, okay, we are adequately capitalized now. Now remember I told you, it took Bank of Montreal 25 years to get this done. Since 1991 when they had the CARMS issue and they didn't pay any dividends again until 2016. We are proposing to get it done under 10 years. But what we're saying to you is simply this, is that if you're asking us to better serve you and to provide you with certain services, those services cost money and they're going to take us to investment to do it. We cannot do it on our own. We don't have the assistance of the government to do it. We have to do it ourselves. So we have to find the money and put in. The credit union is doing its part, but we need you to do your part. And once both parties work together in unison, as a people, we will reach there. We will get there. It's not going to take 25 years. It's not going to take 10 years, but we will reach there.
Okay, hopefully sooner.
I'm just rebutting for Joe. That meeting in Glasgow, I'm focusing on it again. It's going to be a very, very important meeting. Now, is it possible, because how many Montrealers are living, in London, in Manchester, in Nottingham, Birmingham, would it not, I'm just putting an idea here. If the credit union have a facility, maintain a facility, it could be even in London, it could be in Birmingham, a central facility, and having, I know everything got to be FCA rated and regulated and whatever, and there might be some fees. However, if they maintain a facility where people like my brother Joe could walk in and deposit his $5,000, as opposed to sending it all around the world, and it goes, if you deposit it here, it's transmitted into Montserrat.
That's what we're working
on. It knocks on someone's account nearly, if it's not the same day, the following day.
Right.
how feasible that will be, Simone?
Okay,
and
I will tell you.
And,
That is exactly what we're exploring.
And yourself.
That is exactly what we're exploring. The idea was to have a central account, so at some credit union, and then all the money feeds into there. We use online banking, so we see who's depositing the monies into that account, and we recognize the transaction down in Montserrat. So there's no wires need to be involved. No. The problem is this. The UK, like us, have money laundering regulations and guidelines. And what the credit unions in the UK are going to say to us is that we want to know who those persons are who are depositing monies in your account with us. Now, the only way that we can get around that is if we have accounts with credit unions in different regions. So we have one in Manchester, one in Birmingham, two in London, one in Leicester, or so forth. Okay? And if our persons and try to get our merchants as members of those credit unions too, and once they're a member of those credit unions and they are a member of us, the credit unions who you deposit the money in know who you are, so they won't need to ask any question. But if they don't know who you are, if you're not a member, and you just walk in and say, I want to deposit money into the credit union account in Manchester, they're like, where this money is coming from? Where do you work? They can ask questions. To get around that, get you to be a member. To get around that, then it has to be in the different areas. So what we have to do now is to work with the British, what they call it, the correct name is the Association of British Credit Union League. They are based in Manchester. We have already said to them, these are the areas where merchants are. Point us to the credit unions in those regions and go with us to talk to them so that we can open accounts with them, and then we will tell our diaspora persons, open an account with those credit unions too. And that is where we start from. No, I can tell you that a number of persons in Manchester are members of the Manchester credit unions, merchants. I know that. Are going on. Yes. You can use mine.
Thank you very much. I think I'm going to piggyback on the question that Violet asked and Algie. I think the easiest question is from probably Algie. Are you saying that for those who have an account already with the credit union, we're now going to have to add the membership share, that word? The provident shares now to the account?
If you don't have it, yes, you have to add it.
Okay, we have to add. So the first question really now would be the infamous list that we had that came out with the dormant accounts. And I think I probably got a little bit confused. I did contact the credit union office, and so I thought I was just going to update with the, and it's not even my account, it's my daughter's. Just update with the age, whatever, new IDs and stuff like that. But then when they start sending out this information about the shares and stuff like that, it got me confused. So I think you sort of explain it a bit. So if you can probably give blow by blow how to go about dealing with that, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Let me explain in detail two things. An account goes dormant after 2 years of no transaction initiated by you. Okay? An account goes abandoned after 15 years of no transaction initiated by you. What we do as a proactive credit union is that we notify you. Your account is dormant, updated. Reason is because whereas we have no account maintenance fee for live accounts like the other persons, once your account goes into dormancy, it attracts a fee of $10 a month because we have to manage that account. We have to secure it, we have to protect it, we have to restrict access to it, we have to check it so often to make sure that it isn't being accessed by unauthorized parties. Because there's a history with that in other places and other institutions. So a dormant account requires special security locks on it and special monitoring. And it costs us more in terms of the requirements to monitor those things. So what we do, to stop you from paying the fees, we send these notices out, put them in M&I Live and so forth, where we think that we can reach you, just your names. I would say, hey, your account is dormant. Please contact us to update it. Because we try to reach you. We try to reach out. Yes, right. If your account, we do that every year. If your account reaches 15 years, we keep trying to reach you. If we cannot reach you, then the law says, once it's 15 years and 3 months, we transfer those monies to what we call our statutory reserves, and they become part of our capital base. Because after 15 years, we presume, these are presumes, you have abandoned the monies, can't find you. If you come back for it, then we'll have to revive the account and do the reverse to pay you. The same thing applies to the banks. After 15 years, the money goes to central bank. After 30 years, the money goes to government. If you come back, the reverse happens. You go to the process to identify you, and you can get back your monies.
I'm hearing it, and I think it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I'm interested in now is how to reactivate the account if at all possible.
Okay, to reactivate, you have to send us an email or contact us by WhatsApp, indicate the account number and the account name, or either or. We will do a search for it, and once we find it, we will give you what is needed to reactivate it.
Okay, yes, all of that is done.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that they confuse me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because to be honest with you, as I said, I didn't know anything when they send the first set of information and the second set of information is asking you to, you have to have shares. I'm like, what's this? And I don't think they explain it properly.
Okay.
So I think you did a fantastic job. So what you're saying is to get the information from there to reactivate the account.
Yes.
And on top of reactivating the account, it will now require an additional $100
right.
in order to have this
permanent shares.
Okay.
Which will move to another level sometime down the road.
And I do understand in order to get the money in the meantime to the bank is either through the Western Union,
MoneyGram or wire transfer, which comes to Bank of Montreal.
or whichever one.
Yes.
They did. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Fantastic.
Okay. We've got a question online.
Online, yes.
Yeah, we've got a question online. Good afternoon. Why can't the planned meeting in Scotland be started via social media at the initial stages?
We did have 3 meetings before. The meeting is between, well, the meeting was started, we came up with the whole idea, okay? And then what we did, we approached the Caribbean Confederation of Credit Unions, the regional body. And we brought in Anguilla, which is another British dependent territory. We brought in Cayman and Bermuda. Those are the other territories in the region that have credit unions that are British. And so we decided we will start the discussion via Zoom and so forth. We had 2 meetings before, and the plan was for all of us now to meet up in Glasgow and have a face-to-face meeting to finally trash out the ideas and for us to physically also start the interactions with the credit unions. As I said before, that meeting did not come off in Glasgow, and so we have done all the background work now. It's a matter of us having that meeting with the British Association. And what we have said as Montserrat is that even if the other credit unions, the other countries don't come back, we will come back because our need is pressing. Pressing in the sense, well, Anguilla has the same situation like us, is that we find ourselves right now being pressured by the local bank. In the case of us, Bank of Montreal, in the case of Anguilla, they have been totally excluded from the banking system doing business. So they have to do business with other banks in other countries in order to get it. So we have to do it. And the president is here, and she has committed that we will be back in short order once we get a date to solve that, at least to have that meeting and to begin that discussion in relation to setting up these accounts and begin to transact this. Of course, it will need the approval of our regulators in Montserrat, and as Mr. Arjit said, clearly the FCA have to be involved here because it's a foreign.
Yes.
May I just clarify that it's not that the meeting can only be held in Scotland. The World Conference of Credit Union Convention this year was being held in Scotland from the 17th to the 21st of July, and all of the parties concerned would have been present then, so it was obviously best to schedule a face-to-face meeting for that time. As a result of, I guess, with so many people around and with COVID, on the night before the meeting was to be held, we got an email indicating that some persons had tested positive for COVID, and one of the main persons who was coordinating, their wife had an accident and they had to go back home. So they've asked for that meeting to be rescheduled. So now we have to go back to the drawing board in terms of when everybody can be present face to face, but certainly we will continue our discussions on our end to see how far we can progress until that can be rescheduled. We don't expect that, but I think we are all in a peculiar situation, especially the OTs, because of the changes in the Caribbean and lack of correspondent banking. We are all very small territories, and we need to come together as a unit to be a formidable force, and that's why we're all really trying to work together, because they all have the same challenges. We understand as Monstratians, because more of us are now here in the diaspora, not only in the UK, in the US, but we're dealing with the UK right now, because that's more challenging for us, that we are trying to get them to assist us, well, or have the other persons understand that it is more of an urgency for us, and they'll work along with us on that.
Can we here in England have any access to the grants in Montserrat?
I would have to have a discussion on that with the relevant parties in Montserrat. The answer is I do not know, but I could ask a question.
Yeah, it would be nice, and it also would be very nice if the people here in England, you've got our email address and stuff like that. Okay, so it would be nice to know that if you can pass information on to us from time to time, let us know what's happening, what's going on, how our accounts are doing. If there's a problem with the account, you can email us and tell us what's going on instead of we having to wait. I haven't heard nothing from my account for the last 5-6 years, so it must be done, because you're not talking to us about it.
Point well taken.
Yeah,
Point well taken, yes.
Information is passing that information, that's key for us up here as well.
Point well taken.
Okay. I remember Joe asked, what can the government do? And you say you say outplaying that you're not going to get any help from the government. But have all you tried? Because to me, saying that plain out is like discouraging me from going home, honestly. Because if the government is there and you're doing something so, outstanding and helping Monstration, and you're going to say the government is not will not help. I mean, what's there for us?
Well, I don't think the government is in a position to help, because, as I said before, they ain't granting aid, and I don't think that our laws too.
Government is always there to help, Peter.
Well, you're talking about banking and financial institutions, eh? Not individual persons. Government will help individuals, yes.
Yeah.
But for the banks, it's a different thing. I do not think that the laws permit the government also to invest in the credit union as a member. Because remember, we are not a bank. We are a credit union based on membership with the cooperative principles. And I don't think that the law permits that to happen. I tell you this. We had a challenge whereby we had a government agency that invested in our permanent shares. And the regulators subsequently deemed that as being not in keeping with the laws.
Really?
So I don't think that it's possible for it. Because it's membership based. It's not what you call the bank where you are a customer and you invest in the shares. It's a membership based institution. So only a member can think, and the government cannot be a member.
Okay. I rest my case.
The insurance.
Yes.
So if you have an account there, even though you live in England, you can still have an insurance there?
Yes.
Oh, okay, we'll talk after that.
No problem. I would agree with that. Any more questions, comments?
Thank you. Right. Outside the banking industry, I know you deal with more sort of the banking, but in terms of us going home and investing in Montserrat, you've talked a good talk, but it's not down to you and that young lady alone. I mean, some of us has tried it and faced hardship in terms of we're not only dealing with you, we're dealing with other people, and the way in terms on how they look at people who come from England. That's their terms. You want to come here and do what you want and bring what you want and not pay and not this. So it's kind of discouraging for us to take up things to say we're going to invest, because I'm going to be straight. People in Montserrat don't like to see English or people, Montserrat, people come from England, come down with things. I'm going to be straight, and there's no going around the bush. Yeah? So in terms of expenditure down the port and the way they deal with you when you go to find information, like them a bark on you, like you know what I mean, you're not coming to beg, we coming to invest. So you know, try and treat us with a bit of respect. You know, it's not us that tell them not to improve their life or try to do something, but we are trying to, and by facing that hardship, like when you go home to do something like you're going home to beg, just discourage us. You know, and that's my point of view. In terms of we want to go home, some people don't have places to stay. Now, people with guest houses and hotels, I don't know if they want to turn rich one time, but you know, the prices, some of us just can't afford it. You know, so it's all right you saying all them things, and you know, fair play to you. But when we go Montserrat, unless we're not going in the bank to deal with you and that young lady, we dealing with a different kettle of fish, different humans. They treat you like dogs. They treat you like, are you coming from England and blah blah blah. You know, it's different.
Okay, I will take that as a comment, and I will see what I can do to work with the authorities down there. Any further questions? With that, if no questions, I will say thank you. It's getting to 9:15. My chair's advised me, so we will cut it off now and we can talk after, intermingle after and so forth. But I want to thank you for coming out and for being a part of this presentation and for showing your interest in the credit union and also in Montserrat. And I look forward to seeing the possibilities of our engagement here, what we can do and where we can go and how we can go from this. And as I said before, we promise you that we will, you know, follow up on the various points that were made here, especially the point about being able to transact funds and so forth. We will be following up on that, and we will get, at least put our best foot forward to get it done. Any further comments?
And we encourage you, for those of you who didn't get our contact numbers, Keith Lee has all the information. We would like you to reach out to us individually as well, so that we ensure that we get back to you and we can keep our promise, while we'll be ensuring that we try to get the system in order that we can try to respond to everybody individually. So at least we can start and you see that we are fulfilling our promise. If you could at least send us an email or a WhatsApp, then we can start that process going. And I really think for those of you who are tech savvy, the online banking certainly will help you in terms of having that information. But you will need to reach out so that we can send you the onboarding information in terms of your password, your initial password that you can check in, and that will help us too. Because as I said, we do have over 4,000 members, and we're trying to get everything right. But it may take some time if we have to, cycle through the names. So for us to help you so that you get on board quicker, if you could just reach out to us via that email, the info@spccu.ms or Peter Queeley, or the WhatsApp, we'll certainly get back to you within the next week, and we can get things moving. So help us to help you, and thank you again for coming out. It's really a testament to your support for the credit union and for Montserrat. We appreciate it. I'll see you when we get back. Or when you come down, whichever happens first. Well, now that things have eased up in terms of travel, and once you hear ferries coming, we know that you're going to get yourself sorted.
All right, and just to let you know that the SPCCU, they put on a little finger food for you guys, so just don't run away. Please partake and enjoy yourself. All right, cheers.
Hi, this is Trombone Dixon, the Groove Master, and you're locked into
Super Hills Radio. Music.
It's rebuilding time. All months treasures abroad. Please come.
Hi, this is Trombone Dixon, the Groove Master, and you're locked into
Super Hills Radio. Music.
It's rebuilding time. All monstrations abroad. Please come.